Since Kiam yesterday, and I ain't getting the award, man. My mama got dressed for nothing, man. I'm upset. We'll talk about this after the show. Right now, let's get to the entertainment, my brothers and sisters. Muhi, thank you so much, man. And for other people watching the show, you know what, Muhi? Let's make sure Muhi gets his love. He gets his vegetables on the side of the game. What's up, Yaz Guru?
What's going on? How are you, Preacher?
You know, Lodge God, keep it simple. You know me. These people want some comedy, but they got they got to come up with money.
You know really do.
I'm about to put a ticker on jokes here in a minute. If they're gonna have to price the jokes. But listen, it's funny because we're talking, but they want me to do your intro. I don't. So I'm gonna read it.
Sure.
I'm gonna amend it because people know it. Comedians, we don't need long intros because you have a long intro and you don't kill it. You just had a long intro.
It's so true, and you see me kill it, and also face plant. You've seen both.
No, I've never seen you face plant, sisters. You're gonna represent for the OGs. That's what's gonna happen.
You're a good
All
man.
you young comedians out there, I want you to take notice of these sisters who are not on the come up. They're already here. We have one in the building. Woo woo! That started her. Relationship expert. She's been in London, all over the U.S. I've seen her at ISNA before, and as well performs regular in the D.C. metro area, my home, where I am right now. After this, we're going down and we're going to tell jokes for the MAGA Million March as well. She's performing. Catch her on the Instagram. Yes, additional relationship advice every Monday on hashtags Merry Monday. Brothers and sisters, give it up for Sister Yasmin Elhady.
God bless you. God bless you. I like that you call me Yasmin. Just say Yasmin, Preacher. Like, you've been around us enough. Don't call me Yasmin, man. I'm just kidding. Thank you, Preacher Boss, for everything that you do to the community. Can we just like give it up for Muhi, like breaking down and saying exactly how we feel. He like perfectly encapsulated what's in my heart. So I'm just so excited to be here and to be around such good people. You can tell that came from a place of sincerity and love for this kind of stuff. So I will be charging for all the jokes today. So if you think I'm even like slightly funny, I need you to text a donation. I mean, I don't know what Muhi has to do. He cried already. Do you want him to give you a body part? Should he name his firstborn after you? Look, 71441. Okay, it's in your best interest. Also, it might make Muhi feel better. I think it will make him feel better, and you all want him to feel better. He's been working nonstop on this program. He is a machine. I really hope that my kids one day will be like Muhi. My kids, I've been in quarantine now. I've been stuck with a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. So I think if you do the math on that, that's the 7th circle of Dante's Inferno. That is the place that I occupy. If it's not that, it's like purgatory. I'm not a Catholic, but I'm in purgatory. That's how I feel. My son was in here earlier. The only reason he's gone is that my husband left like crumbs of candy leading out into the street. Yeah, he just followed the crumbs like Hansel and Gretel out there. I just hope he doesn't get eaten by some type of witch. My kids have been a big blessing, a big gift to me. But like quarantine is one of those things that like all the things that you love suddenly make you want to kill yourself. I'm a comedian. Just remember, I'm going to say things, but I don't need to put like a trigger warning, right? I mean, I think we're okay. I haven't really, like, I love my husband, for example, but like being stuck in quarantine with him like all the time, like, really, is that what I signed up for? Because I could have signed up for hating my reflection. I feel like marriage is like a reflection, don't you think? It's like putting up a mirror to yourself. That's what marriage is like. It's like reflecting everything, all of your faults. You can see them up close and then quickly projecting them onto the other person. Like, no, that's not me. That's you. I could have sworn those were the things I disliked about myself. My husband is amazing, but he takes credit for things that normal human beings do. I feel like you guys know what I'm talking about with the men in the house. They sometimes just like to take credit. My husband, earlier, he picked up his socks. He was like, see that? I picked up my socks. I did. And I'm like, oh, did you? I don't understand. You're not a squirrel. You're just a human. I don't understand why I'm supposed to give you special recognition for this. Or he'll like pick up the wet towel and he's like, you see that? Wet towel on the rack for you. I'm like, you did not do that for me. I could have sworn you don't like mildew either. My dad tried to do it with my mom, but my mom, see, I'm Arab. I'm half Egyptian, half Libyan. So my mom's the Egyptian one. So she doesn't take stuff like that kindly. She's strong. She's a strong one. So my dad, he's the Libyan. He was like, hey, I dished it up for you, Hajar. Her name is Hajar. I dished it up for you. I did that for you. She's like, oh, thank you so much. You washed the dishes for me. Who put the food on the dish? Aslan. Min awilha. I don't thank you. You thank me. Hashtag time's up. I'm like, wow, Mom. What an incredible use of a recent movement to make my father feel like he was put in place. My mom and dad are actually amazing. They raised me in Alabama, which doesn't make any sense. I mean, if you're Muslim and Arab, you definitely want to go to Alabama. A for acceptance, as though it's like the most accepting state in the union. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. They still live in Alabama, believe it or not. My parents still live there. I can't believe they do. But my mom always told me, because she's judgmental, she's always like, you just don't know how to live here. I'm like, can I just extract you from here? Can't I just like take you from Alabama and put you in Virginia? I'm in Virginia. And she's like, no, you're just so dumb. You don't know how to deal with the racists. I'm like, okay, all right, fine. How do you deal with the racists? She's like, it's so simple. Anything they said to me, say, hey you, terrorist, hey you. I just say, no hable inglés ese. I'm like, nobody believes that you speak Spanish. She's like, no parlez-vous français. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? I'm like, thank God no one in Alabama knows how to speak French, because that would have ended badly for you, Mom. I married a man from Afghanistan because I didn't have enough trouble in my life. You know what I mean? I needed to have like intersectional racism for the children. The kids are a quarter Egyptian, a quarter Libyan, and a half Afghan. Yeah. So their blood volume is pure evil. That's just the DNA test. The DNA test came back 100% not employable by the US government. It's like 100% never getting a security clearance. That's my son. Yep, screaming there. Yeah, mommy. So, like I said, I really can't get rid of them or be alone away from them for too long. And I just have to like text my husband to come get him. My husband, even when he's with them for too long, he'll call me. He'll like FaceTime me and he'll be like, hey, your mom's here. And then he'll like put up the phone as if I'm supposed to be the one to discipline them. And my son, he'll just look at me and I'm like, hey, you listen to your father. You listen to him. And he's just like, is that a butterfly? Listening. I don't know. I put my kid in timeout and he's just like, just starts laughing. What timeout? You remember when we grew up? Do you remember when we grew up and our parents would like destroy our sense of humor? Let's just put it that way. I don't know how many of you guys here experienced this, but my parents definitely, little ship justice is what I call it. A little chuckle justice. Just to make sure that things were clear, that it was not cool for you to be acting crazy. But now all of a sudden he has, my parents are now his grandparents. They're like his defenders. It's kind of amazing. Now that my son is, he's 3, he's like launching himself off of furniture. And I'm like, no. And my dad, his grandfather, will not stand for that. He's like, no, do not break his spirit. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's going to break his skull. He's like, let him, he will learn. Do not touch a hair on his head. Do not say a loud word to him. You will psychologically damage him. And I'm like, yeah, I know about the psychological damage. What about us? He's like, you are just a vessel. Go. Give me my grandson. I'm like, what? As you know, if you have any sort of immigrant grandparents, you could be like a PhD in neurophysics. You could have all the degrees in the world. You could, but if you're not married, no, doesn't work. You know what they value, and that is grandchildren. In the end, that's what they want. That's what they all want. Basically to treat them with a double standard. My kids, they've been driving me crazy. So I've had like different ways to deal with them. One of them is the crumbs of candy that I mentioned earlier. The other is I've been trying to get other friends to help me. So one of my friends came over and she said, hey, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of your kids. I was like, are you sure? Her name was Jennifer. She was Caucasian. So I was a little hesitant because I'm like, these are actually an Arab-Afghan hybrid. So like the level of normal, whatever you've created in your white mind this is not it. She was like, how hard could it be? I've got this. And my sons went with her, but my son, my 3-year-old, who never ceases to amaze me with the ways he can humiliate me, decided to take this woman on a walk. He took Jennifer on a walk, and at the subdivision sign at the very beginning of our neighborhood, he just decided to poop in the street. Just poop, pull out his pants and poop in the mulch. Yeah. Like, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. I'm Arab. I'm obviously civilized. Come on in. Deuces, but the other kind. I was like, are you serious? She came back. Her face was totally pale. She was like, hey, Yasmin. Kind of like what preacher called me. That's what they call me. Hey, Yasmin. I just want to tell you something weird that just happened, like something really odd that just occurred. I don't know about your culture, if this is in your culture. And I was like, oh, God. She's like, I don't know about your people. Maybe it's like your people, but he pooped in the street. Your son pooped in the street. I was like, look, Jennifer, I resent your comment. This has nothing to do with my people or my culture, okay? That's racist. I'm just a bad mom. I'm going to own it. I'm a bad mother, and I can't believe you did that. My son, the human defecation machine, is learning to use his words as the Montessori teaches him, and he keeps saying, Mommy, you're boring and grumpy, and giving me a double thumbs down, as if it's like a Yelp review. Yeah. I'm like, are you serious, Zane? Are you serious, little guy? You're going to say that I'm boring and grumpy? I do everything for you. Do I have to like smile while I service you? Should I like do my hair, put my makeup on? Like, it's not enough that I'm in the street and some guy's like, hey, you know what look good on you, sweetheart? A smile. And I'm like, you know what look good on you, sir? A job. Zip it. You ever see a woman, she's grumpy? Is she grumpy? Really? It's because she's busy. Okay. There's a woman, she's doing a million different things. So how about you take one of the 20 jobs that she's juggling? I couldn't believe my son said that. But you know what? Don't worry. Don't worry. Don't worry, because of karma. That same son, the human defecation machine who called me boring and grumpy, the next day he's on the playground, boom, falls 4 stitches in his eyebrow. God got him. It wasn't me. Allah just had my back as a mom. Yeah. Don't feel too bad when I do that joke. People are like, oh, gasping, like, how could she say that about her son? Look, he's a little man in the end. Just don't forget that. He's a little man that will become a big man. And at some point, some girl is going to look at him and be like, oh my God, how'd you get that scar? Wow, that is super, that's amazing. Where did you get that? And he's going to be like, I've been doing jiu-jitsu since I was 3. Yeah. And he's not going to tell her that he fell on the slide. He's not going to do that. Men are always winning. That's the point of what I'm trying to say. Men are always winning. You see a guy, he has like salt and pepper hair. Suddenly he's a silver fox. If a woman has that kind of hair, she has 1 gray, suddenly she's an old hag. She's really aging. Oh my God, she should really go talk to someone. She must be sad. But when a man, for example, has like a scraggly beard and totally unkempt, he's a hipster. Yeah, like he's a barista. He's going to make me a really mean latte. He's not a homeless guy, you know, but I can't even, I'm Arab, right? Like I told you, I can't get away with like 1 week without having to do my mustache. I thread. I have to. So the fact that men can get away, you see a guy, he's got a belly. A woman is looking at him like, oh my God, he must be wealthy. That's why he has a belly. Yeah, he has a little, it's because if it hangs over your pants, that means that you are eating property. That means you own things. It's kind of crazy. I'm super excited to be a woman. Can I just say, because I do think that women are amazing. I think that women are smarter than men. I do. I don't care, men. Okay, I know, Mohi, you're a good guy, preacher. All respect. I just think I'm smarter than you. I just have to say it. It's not like my thing. It's just like something that I was born with, and all women are born with. It's an X chromosome, 2 of them. And the ability to have a multifunctioning brain. We just can think of a million things at one time. So when a guy is like sitting on the couch and you're looking at him, you're like, hey, what are you thinking about? And he's like, nothing. He's not lying. He's not. he really has cleared his brain. It's amazing how he has that ability to do that. I'm jealous of that. I feel like women are thinking about a million different things all at one time. I'm like, what? You're not thinking about the test scores of your unborn children? Because I was thinking about that. There's a reason that Greta is dealing with climate change. She's a woman. She's like teenager, and she's like, I need to be thinking about how to solve the world's greatest problem. When I had my sons, my mom kept saying, you have to keep going for the girl, huh? Who will solve all your problems? I was like, okay, Mom, alhamdulillah, I was blessed with 2 boys. You could just chill. She's like, no, you have to get the girl. Everyone knows the men, they start the war. But the woman, she solves it, yes? And I was like, don't do that with your tongue, Mom, or your shoulder. I don't. Whenever my mom sees me do any movement at all, she's like, you know who would like that? Shaitan. He would like this dancing very much. Stop dancing on stage. I'm like, that's not what I'm doing, Mom. I'm sure all of you have totally non-judgmental moms, and I'm the only crazy one. I really loved Hassan Minhaj's, and I'm going to call him Minhaj, not Minaj. Okay, he's not a Minaj thing. It's a Minhaj, literally, like what to learn. And we learned a lot from him today in his awesome discussion with Wahi. He was talking about how we should all be running for office. I ran for my senior class president. I was also the president of my law class all 3 years, and I was like my government representative when I was at Princeton. So I like take that to heart, and I would love to see the kids grow up to do that one day. It's so funny now, like when I'm seeing like young millennials, they're hiring a bunch of young millennials at work, and I'm just like seeing into the future, broadcasting to the future how my kids will be. And this young woman comes in, or very early 20s, and she's like, she's complaining about her parents the whole time. She's like, oh my God, my parents are so weird. I'm like, why would you say that about your parents? They brought you into life. They've sacrificed everything for you. They've cleaned up the poop in the mulch for you. It was weird. I had like a slip up. By the way, when I went to go pick up that poop, I had like a bag over my hand, and my neighbors were like, we didn't know you had a dog. I'm like, I do. He's in the basement. Anyway, so this girl, she's complaining. She's like, my parents are so weird because I am totally behind the curve because of them. She was blaming them. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, I didn't get an iPhone until I was in the 7th grade. Can you believe that? I was like, the 7th grade, you were like 12? Oh my God. When I was 12, my parents put me in the corner of my room and they were like, no reason for location services. Look at that. We found you. Hey, shut up. It's stupid. Sit down. What are you going to call me on your banana phone? Some toy phone? Why are you going to call me? Well, my parents were really proud of me when they planted the seed in my head to run for senior class president. Yes, 2 weeks after September 11th, 2 months after September 11th, we had the general election for my senior class presidency, and I ran. And I ran because my dad was like, okay, if you do not want to take off your hijab, please just do something else to show me that I should not be scared of you wearing hijab in Alabama. Literally, it was like to comfort his, you know what I mean? His fear. So anyways, I ran for my senior class president, and it was tough because the only person that had signed up was Tyler Green, and he was a total jock. He was like the cutest guy in school, played a lot of different sports. All the girls wanted to be him. All the guys wanted to be him. All the girls wanted to date him. And my brother like sat with me, and he was like, how are you going to beat this guy? Like, you just promised Mom and Dad that you were going to run for your senior class presidency. Like, are you crazy? I'm like, I know, man. He was like, look, you just have to rap your election speech. Simple. I was like, what did you just say? He's like, yeah, rap your election speech. Like the funny raps that we do in private, you need to do that in public, but you got to diss your opponent. You have to diss Tyler Green in the first 30 seconds, like a one-way rap battle. We're the only one waging war. I'm like, I don't think we should be talking about waging war right now. But I understand. So I went into the school auditorium. It was 2 months after September 11th in Huntsville, Alabama. And I went to the largest area high school. There were over 3,000 students, 3,300 students that went there. And I had a boombox on my shoulder. And so I was already kind of swagging. I kind of felt myself. And I put the boombox down right at the corner of the stage. And I knew I had to diss my opponent in the first 30 seconds, Tyler Green. So I'm like, all right, here we go. Hit the music. Dun 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 ding dun 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 dun. Yasmin, baby. Dun 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 dun. I want you to stop, collaborate, and listen. Grissom's back with a brand new election. This school has got a hold of me tight. Ask me the questions. I won't bite. White is a color on my scarf. Green is a color when you barf. And then I pointed to Tyler Green. Yes, he started crying on stage. Yeah, he wasn't like the nicest guy. So I did make him cry. It was both like sad and delicious at the same time. And this girl, your girl Yas Guru, Yasmin, actually was her senior class president. People thought I was some kind of nun, or I had cancer, and they have wigs for that, young lady. I don't know why you're wearing this. I'm like, I didn't have leukemia. Yeah, but it's been a great ride, and I totally agree with everything that Hassan said about trying to push kids. I really am to do this to run for office, to start small after school, to keep going. Thank you so much for inviting me at the American Muslim Community Foundation's first annual symposium. It was an incredible honor to be here. Thank you so much. I know that I've reached my time limit of 20 minutes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. You know what? I know your name, but it's still Yasmin. I've been black a long time. There you go. That might get you out of it. That might get you out of a ticket one day. My name is Yasmin. Okay, you could go. Big shout out for sister. Give her a big shout out.
Or I'll just pretend like I can't speak English. That seems to work with my mom. Thank you so much, preacher.
All right, you stay blessed. We'll talk soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. All right, brothers and sisters, you got your laugh on. Muhi, I still don't have my award. Yeah, but time. We still got time left. Make sure, brothers and sisters, that you check the booths out. Go and support our booths, our vendors. Go out and give them some money, give them some love, give them a hug, virtual hug if you can. Other than that, we're going to keep this thing moving. Our next entertainer, he has a long bio, but we're not even going to do all of that. Take that off the screen. Take that bio off the screen, Dustin. This brother, I saw him several times, and we worked down we were in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi.
That's right, Jackson.
And we both got back safely, alhamdulillah. But my point is, this brother is hip hop. He's Arab poetry. He's smooth. If he was jazz, I would say this brother is something akin to Dizzy Gillespie on his style and presentation. So I know he's supposed to give long introductions. I ain't gonna do that. I seen the brother work. Go ahead, you're gonna put your foot in it, Omar. Everybody, put your hands together right here, right now, for my main man, Omar Offendum.
And keep that round of applause going for Brother Preacher Moss. Thank you so much for being such an incredible host for this beautiful event. Before I begin, I just want to start it off by saying Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and love from my heart to yours. And begin with a few acknowledgments as well. I am standing on what was historically Tongva land and is referred to today as Los Angeles, California. It is the spirit of the Tongva ancestors that surround this place that I am so blessed to have been amongst for the past decade and a half. And to understand California from that perspective, before it was colonized by the Spanish missions, which brought a lot of the things that ironically I, as a Syrian, am familiar with, the citrus trees and the pomegranate trees and the date palms, that make me feel rooted and feel grounded here. But nothing truly has made me a Syrian immigrant to the United States of America, in fact, a Syrian citizen for the first 11 years of my life. Nothing has helped me feel more rooted and more grounded in my being here in the United States than hip hop culture. Hip hop culture, which is firmly rooted in Black culture. And so I am deeply indebted, because I have the opportunity to participate in this culture the way that I do, and to bring and infuse aspects of my own culture and my motherland to this work. And it was, in fact, Islam that drew me to hip hop. The messages of Islam that I found in some of the greatest rappers that I'd heard growing up, in some of their lyrics, and even in some of the music that was being sampled, and in the spirit, the poetic spirit of a lot of these rappers who, to me, were carrying the same traditions of a lot of the poets that I knew who laid the groundwork. People like Langston Hughes, people like Nizar Qabbani, like Khalid Gibran, people who influenced me. And so what I hope this presentation of my work can give you all is an understanding of how art and culture can help a young Muslim in America feel rooted, feel grounded. And truly, a lot of the things that I'd heard many of the speakers throughout the day talking about having that sort of long-term vision and approach to their work in the nonprofit sector, or hearing Brother Hassan Minhaj talk about how he had to narrow his aperture during this crazy time to really be able to focus on what mattered. And those sorts of messages, I think, really resonated with me as an artist and as a Muslim artist, a Muslim American artist today, knowing that there are things that I can control and things that I can't, especially as a father now, and knowing that the work that I'm doing is essentially laying the foundation for the cultural landscape that our children are going to inherit. And so I would encourage all of the young people, the artists, the working professional artists who are watching this, to understand that our role within this space here as Muslims and Muslim Americans is very much that we're doing what we heard a lot of the folks from the nonprofit sector do, and that is to think long-term with our work, to understand that we're planting seeds here that hopefully will bear fruit in our lifetime, but if not, in the lifetime of the future generations. That was what hip hop did for me. That is what Black art and Black culture did for me. And that is something that I hope I can give back to other generations as well. Each one teach one. And I just wanted to also congratulate all of the winners, the awardees who received some very well-deserved awards today. It's a beautiful thing to see many generations and many different walks of life reflected in this one program here. And it did bring tears to my eyes like it did to Mahi as well. I understand what it feels like to have a pulse on what's happening all around the country and to see it all come together in this moment in time through your screen, and to be reminded of this beautiful community that we're a part of. That is something very touching. And so I really appreciated that moment. And I really appreciated Brother Preacher Moss also reminding us that what AMCF really does is it basically helps, how did he put it? Help them help you, isn't that right? So with that, make sure that you text GIVE to 71441. 71441. Text GIVE if you have it in your heart and in your wallet to donate a little bit more. Remember that sadaqah, as Dr. Aisha Prime mentioned, is rooted in the Arabic word for sincerity, and zakat, of course, in purification. And so to think about our donations as purifications and as coming from a very sincere place in our hearts, it makes the notion of building community just resonate that much deeper. So Jazakumullah khair to everybody who has donated. And if you have any more to give, once again, text GIVE to 71441. And with that, I wanted to open this up with a poem by one of my favorite poets. I actually had a photo of him right up here, Langston Hughes. This poem is called The Negro Speaks of Rivers. And in this poem, he's able to talk about that basic thread of humanity that binds all of us, all across this world, through the rivers and freshwater sources of life that he identifies in Africa, in Southwest Asia, where my people are from, and here on Turtle Island, aka America. And by doing that, he is really able to kind of paint one big, beautiful stroke of humanity for all of us in this one poem. And he says, I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood and human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I've bathed in the Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo when it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised the pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. Rest in peace, Langston Hughes. And he said, أنهار كثيرة عرفتها أنهار كثيرة أزلية كما العالم عرفتها أنهار أزلية تدفقت حتى قبل أن يتدفق الدم في شرايين البشر وروحي ازدادت عمقا كالأنهار فأنا بمياه الفرات استحممت حتى قبل اندلاج فجر الحياة وعلى ضفاف الكونغو بنيت كوخي حيث هللت لي مياهه لأغفو من دلتا النيل العالي أشرفت وشيدت الإهرامات العظيمة وإلى شدو المسيسيبي استمعت حين مر به لينكولن في دربه إلى نيوورلينز ومع الغروب رأيت أحضانه الطينية تتحول إلى كتل ذهبية لقد عرفت أنهاراً أزلية معتمة كما الغسق وروحي توغلت في القدم وروحي ازدادت عمقاً كالأنهار. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Omar Offendum, and I'd like to welcome you to a lovely little place I call Syriana Americana. This is a nation state of mind where everything is connected and everybody is welcome. It is my honor to be here on behalf of the American Muslim Community Foundation and their annual symposium performing for you all. Assalamu alaikum once again and peace. Now, one of the things that I've always loved about some of my favorite hip hop tracks were the storytelling, and the storytelling aspects of hip hop resonated with me deeply, not just because I grew up here and I could relate to a lot of the things that I was hearing in these stories, but also because of the ways that it reminded me of the storytelling traditions of Damascus, where my family is from. Namely the traditions of the Hakawati, who is like the griot in the old city of Damascus, who's reciting stories in parable form, poetic form, up on an elevated platform, and reminding people of just how important it is to maintain a grasp of our history and of our culture, because if you don't know where you're coming from, you don't know where you're going to go. And I had the opportunity to intern at the Historic Renovation Committee at the Old City of Damascus when I was in college for a couple summers. I studied architecture at the University of Virginia, and I was able to work with local architects and historians and get a real deeper understanding of this ancient city, referenced in the Bible. It's one of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ's favorite cities. And it's really no surprise, because it is truly one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen with my eyes. And walking up and down the streets of the old city, I was reminded of how hip hop is this urban culture, more specifically the street culture, and how cool it was for me to be able to represent one of the oldest urban and street experiences in the world. And I wrote a spoken word piece called Straight Street, referenced in the Bible, near where St. Paul got his sight back on the road to Damascus. This street is arguably one of the oldest streets in the world. And so I wrote this piece in honor of the men and women that I'd met on that street, up and down the street, having conversations throughout those summers and reflecting on the lessons that I'd learned. I took a stroll down a street called Straight. Met a medicine man about a third of the way. Predecessor to the pusher man with something to say about an apple a day keeping the sickness away. I valued his advice at face at first, till he enlightened me to how precisely nature works, giving us citrus fruits in wintertime for vitamin C. Just met each other, but I'm already invited for tea, subhanallah. As fate would have it, he and I turn out to be related. A small world's even smaller when you're Arab, ain't it? Made it a point to soak in all his information about regenerative meditations and preventative medication, like a modern Ibn Sina with a pretty calm demeanor and a remedy for everything that plagued the Arab nations. Yet when asked of how to cope with our impossible fate, he just said, follow the middle path to a street called Straight. And so I took a stroll down a street called Straight. Met a spiritual teacher about 2/3 of the way. Predecessor to the preacher man with something to say about a prayer a day keeping the Satans at bay. He spoke of angels on our shoulders and the angles of our solar, systematic self-destruction, metaphysical corruption with a danger to our polar ice capsule. It's out of our control and in the hands of our beholder. We philosophized for over 20 minutes like that. Taught me lessons, any questions he would give them right back. Said the answers were within us, and I didn't like that, but I realized later why he did it like that. See, I had so much more to learn. The clock was ticking, couldn't stall. Committed his words to memory. His wisdom wasn't thrall, and yet when asking him, what was the most important to recall? He just said, follow the middle path, Straight Street, and that is all. And so I took a stroll down a street called Straight. Met a carpenter hard at work at the end of the way. Predecessor to the architect with something to say about not doing tomorrow what should be finished today. See, he manipulated wood and metal till it followed function, building all through Via Recta and Cardo Maximus Junction. Something told me he was wise beyond his years. I had a feeling from the way that he'd exposed the beams and ornamented ceilings with an ambidextrous half, nonchalantly jest and laugh, saying that my Western education made it hard to grasp his connections to the past, deep-rooted in his craft, but was more than willing to share with me these tools he knew I lacked, and for that I would be grateful. Learning how to build the monumental for the playful and the humble, for the faithful. Yet when asked of how we'd stack against our impossible odds, he just said, follow the middle path, Straight Street to Allah. I know I'm known as a coffee drinker, but in Damascus we drink tea, and this one's about Damascus. Now, if I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife, all right? Said if they ask you, what's Damascus like? Say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. That's what I tell them when they ask me, what's Damascus like? I tell them that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife. A hellish heaven, heavenly hell, and relishing in poetic embellishments. Memory fails. See, this is Damascus. And this is a glass of spirit comfort I love, but I'm aware of the fact that certain kinds of love can slaughter you in their wrath. I'm a Damascene being, dissect me into haves and have not, but grapes and apples fall in your path. Open my veins with scalpels, hear ancestral chants of heart. Transplants can cure some of the passionate. Why does mine stay torn in half and minarets crying tears of absence? Like trees are so speak years have passed them. You can hear them asking for civil rights to live amongst tears of jasmine as house cats take naps relaxing. This is Damascus. And what Armando Manzanero is saying so beautifully here is that it's the saddest thing in this whole world. This is how I feel for you, only for you. The song is called El Ciego. هذه دمشق وهذه الكأس والراح إني أحب وبعض الحب راح أنا الدمشقي لو شرحتم جسدي لسال منه عناقيد وتفاح. Coffee grinders crackling, childhood reminders back when how could I forget when my reaction to cardamom strong fragrance yet and still finds attraction as proud fathers wait for a sweet daughter's face. I'm asking my roots, heart, and language I hear. How am I supposed to make myself any more clear? Is clarification necessary with love so dear? So much so there was no fear. How many Damascene bracelets were sold for this poetry here? Apologizing to the willow, wondering if my little siblings can hear. My parts been scattered cross coast for years, lanterns on horizons floating, saddened eyes lost in hopes to see it. Once again, the saddest thing in this whole wide world. And this is how I feel for you, only for you. So, if I ask you what's Damascus like, tell me that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife, right? So if they ask you, what's Damascus like? Say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. That's what I tell them when they ask me, what's Damascus like? I tell them that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife. A hellish heaven, heavenly hell, and relishing in poetic embellishments. Memory fails, see? We're tossed around in shoreless oceans only to be hunted down by devils and demonic ghosts. Our battle garbage, rapid prose and rapid flows. It's apropos until no war is open to them. That's for show. Identity, your Arabness resembling a widow, though. Is there no Festivus for the rest of his history? Books can show what will remain of poetry's originality. If so, many a brown-nosed liar gets to have complete control. How we gonna ever write a verse to spit when killers still approach? I wore the burden of my words upon my back until I grieve what shall remain of poetry. When it is finally relieved, the saddest thing in this world, my lady, is knowing that we were meant to be from the very start. But that might never be. So I think you know what he's saying by now. And I hope you remember what I'm about to ask you. Hey, if I ask you, what's Damascus like? Tell me that it's like a glimpse into the... Yeah, so if they ask you, what's Damascus like? Say it's a glimpse into the afterlife. That's what I tell them when they ask me, what's Damascus like? I tell them that it's like a glimpse into the afterlife. A hellish heaven, heavenly hell, with relishing in poetic embellishments. Memory fails. It's like... So that was a translation of Nizar Qabbani's Damascene poem, Al-Qasida Dimashqiyya. That's this man right here, in which he said, هذه دمشق وهذه الكأس والراح إني أحب وبعض الحب ذباح أنا الدمشقي ولو شرحتم جسدي لسال منه عناقيد وتفاح ولو فتحتم شراييني بمديتكم سمعتم في دمي أصوات من راح زراعة القلب تشفي بعض من عشقوا وما لقلبي إذا أحببت جراح. Rest in peace, Nizar Qabbani. Now, I mentioned tea. It's a very Syrian thing, but so is coffee. And I already had my morning coffee, so I'm not about to have another one. But if you haven't had yours yet, consider the story of qahwa as you sip your coffee. You see, according to the Abdul Qadir manuscript, Sheikh Omar was the very first man who sipped this aromatic brown brew when he was exiled from Mocha, sent to a desert cave out near Usab with little hope of ever returning. A Bedouin yearning, this Yemeni learning that with nothing to quell his hunger, his stomach forever churning, he better be resourceful. So he resorted to eating the beans of nearby shrubs and narrow morsel, but they were just too bitter to force through, so he chose to roast the morsels. And when that made him way too hard, soften them in hot water, and that's when something caught him off guard. The resulting liquid left him feeling rejuvenated and jubilated, almost forgetting the fact that he'd been excommunicated devastated. And when word had finally gotten round of this magic mountain medicine that cured the sick and gave a kick, they called him back for question. And he said, in every habitat you're at, you have to find the lessons. Me, I made this drink to think. Plus, it's an appetite suppressant. I call it qahwa. And it went from qahwa to kahve, cafe to coffee, from an Ethiopian cherry to one of the most traded commodities in the world after oil and in the world long before it. It's what Muslims are known for. So, of course, they tried to ban it till Pope Clement VIII felt he could no longer ignore it, said it wasn't so satanic after all, and had them pour it for him, then import it. Fast forward to today, where the importance of a pour over in Northeast LA can simply not be overstated. And while the hippest hipsters have a casual debate about which spots are overrated, I just try to keep it civil, highly caffeinated, engaging in the sort of conversation that keeps me fascinated about these little brown beans traveling streets of immense silk from the Far East to the Wild West, laced with sweet and condensed milk, maintaining their robustness no matter how far you send them, like sincerely yours, Omar, Offendum. Now, you can't come into an Arab man's house and not be fed, especially a Syrian man's house. It's just not right. Hey, مجدرة مسبحة محمرة مسقعة سبانخ مقانق جوز موز كسكس وكزبرة بقدونس. Let's do this. بندورة مفرومس تبولس زيتونس. Put it all in a طنجرة. I said الكبة كبتنا والكبة ربتنا ولولا كبتنا والله لا كلياتنا متنا. الكبة كبتنا والكبة ربتنا ولولا كبتنا والله لا كلياتنا متنا. Yeah. So I just got to note that we're on to our last song, and there's one song that I just had to perform for you all. And this one is going to be Close My Eyes. It's something that I wanted to offer to anybody who's lost a loved one. The root message in this song is a very important message to our community, and that is, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To the one we belong and to the one we all return. I dedicate this to my father, who passed away when I was 12 years old, 1 year after we became citizens here in the United States. And everything I've done has truly been built on what he did. And the idea that when we donate or when we give for the future and we try to build and establish something for future generations, that's something I saw very clearly in my own life. Even though he had long passed, I still got to see the beautiful fruits of his labor. And so that's something that I encourage every young Muslim who is watching this to think about. That what you're doing, the good that you do, is not something that you're necessarily going to get a like on, but it's something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows very well that you've done. And that's something that's going to carry forward in your life in ways that you might not see, but that will manifest in such beautiful, beautiful, magnificent ways when your intentions are pure. And with that, I'd like to just thank AMCF one more time for having me on the program. Thank you also to Sister Yasmin, to Brother Preacher Moss for hosting, to all of the speakers and panelists, all the awardees, and most importantly, Brother Muhi Khawaja and Brother Dustin Khan behind the scenes. Thank you all. Yeah. I bet you thought that I forget. I'll admit I've often tried. Ever since the day you left, I've been feeling lost inside, waiting here with bated breath. Patiently I recollect, 1 foot in the grave, foolish step to take. Now wait a sec, I heard about it all before. Read it in the ancient text, messages delivered from the best of us to save the rest of us from grief, stress, and the weak chest. Speechless, 1 tongue, 2 eardrums, so speak less. And yes, the meek blessed with inheriting this earth, but until then I worry for children who perish first, carrying thirst, walking miles for polluted water, buried in turf, lost smiles, and a slew of martyrs. Is this the type of life we're meant to be living, where histories repeated, tragedies we're reliving, huh? These were the kinds of conversations that we used to have, but now that you're gone, I just speak to you in song, and I close my eyes. I close my eyes. And I see you now. I can feel you near. I'm hoping that you hear. I close my eyes. And I see you now. Yeah. Now you have an act for showing up soon as I close my eyelids. The world is black, but sure enough, your luminance is shining. They say no man's an island, and to me, you were a continent, constantly reminding me to elevate my consciousness. Now, back when I was growing up, you told me to keep smiling, that no matter what the obstacle, nothing was impossible. Timeless wisdom in your silence, a language all its own. Find a place your children's children love and gone and call it home. And plant roots. Watch your family tree grow to bear fruits. Can't let that pride and ego set aside your ego. In the eyes of people, we share truth, clear through windows to your soul center. So find an equal whom you love being alone with to get you through this cold winter. The type of guidance you provided me was priceless. I can almost see you smiling while I write this at night. I just close my eyes and I see you now. I see you. I can feel you near. I'm hoping that you hear. I close my eyes. Text to give to 71441. Make a donation today. Now I know grieving isn't easy, but the tears breed patience. Believing isn't easy, but the fears feed faith. In that infinite uncertainty of certain situations, recognize you're immortal. Your demise is but a portal to surprises unpredicted by the limits of a mind so finite that only in hindsight do we ever find what's right and what was wrong. And this is more than just a song. Sometimes your heart will skip a beat so you'll appreciate it more. Now keep calm and carry on. You want to knock on heaven's door? I'm not so sure, brother. The line is very long, and since it's very dawn, mankind has never been benevolent enough to get along, at least not on a global scale, so please begin at home. I pray we're not a total fail, but indeed the good die young. Yeah, deep inside, I know we'll be united very soon. That's why I say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Indeed. To the one we belong, and to the one we all return, for as sure as the sun will burn. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. To the one we belong, and to the one we all return. Now I have seen a face with 1,000 countenances. And I have seen a face that was but a single countenance as if held in a mold. I have seen a face whose sheen I could look through to the ugliness beneath, and a face whose sheen I had to lift to see how beautiful it was. I've seen an old face much lined with nothing, and a smooth face in which all things were graven. I know faces, because I look through the fabric my own eye weaves, and behold the reality beneath. Gibran Khalil Gibran. Thank you all again for having me on this program. Thank you to AMCF. Thank you to Brother Muhi, Brother Preacher Moss, all of the speakers and panelists and sponsor, donor organizations. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my Syrian American heart. My name is Omar Offendum, and it has been an honor. Thank you.
Man, don't go anywhere, Omar. I'm going to give you the Denzel Washington training day clap.
Hey.
Muhi. AMCF, all the winners. I'm giving you the clap. Appreciate you, man, as always. It's so good I can bring an artist up, and I'm like, I don't want to tell you everything he does. I want you to be impressed. I want you to have your own experience. Man, thank you so much, Double O. It was real as always, and you're on top of your game. So, I always appreciate you.
I appreciate you, brother, always. From Jackson, Mississippi.
Inshallah, we'll hit the road soon, man. As soon as we get rid of the COVID joint, we're going to be all right.
Hey, man, we're going to be all right.
92 when we do, but we're going to get it done, though.
in the wheelchairs. We'll make it happen.
Inshallah, man. Much love to you, man. Thank you for blessing us.
Peace, y'all.
So, everybody, I got to go ahead and close this show out with my main man before I bring Muhi up. I want to thank all the sponsors. I want to thank the people that went to the booths. I want to thank all the nominees, the winners. I want to thank my mom for making sure my shirt was pressed. I want to make sure that everybody understands, all the speakers, all the donors. This is part of a process. When I say part of a process, it's something I mean that should not be overlooked. Brother Muhi, this guy has worked tirelessly. Brother Dustin, they've worked tirelessly, man. And, you know, I'm not in the business of shouting out people, but I always shout out people that are hard workers. My good brother, may Allah be pleased, when he passed away, and he always said, Allah never wastes the work of a righteous worker. You have definitely seen righteous worker from the top to the bottom to the performers. We've been blessed, brothers and sisters. So listen, you see the ticket at the bottom. Make sure you donate. Don't let this thing be in vain. Don't let it be in vain. We are who we are, and what we are is special. So let's do some special things. So make sure you check out the auction items. You know, you check out the podcast, and, you know, give Muhi a little love at the end of this thing. If you're in the comment section, give a little love, brothers and sisters. Let me bring my main band back. Brother Muhi, come on back here, man. Close us out.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Preach, I know this has been a really tough week for you with the passing of your brother. So thank you so much for being here today. We love you. And likewise, if there's, you know, we're keeping you and your family in our du'as. So just want to let you know that we appreciate you. So everyone, we'll wrap up the program. This has been a fantastic day. Thank you for being with us for 3 hours. Who would have thought that it would be an engaging event to stay on the entire time? But I know all of you are still there. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. The VFairs platform will be open for another month. You don't necessarily need to be engaged, but at least you can go still get the items that were linked in the booths and check out all of the great organizations. So that platform will exist, and you can definitely check it out for the next 10 minutes or so. Go browse through the booths, check everything out. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, I again want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thank my parents, my siblings, my wife, thank you, and also my in-law siblings. They wanted a special shout out as well. So with love from my heart to the bottom of yours, all of this work that we do at American Muslim Community Foundation is because of the generosity of the community. We have fantastic board members who give significantly. We have fantastic families who have donor advised funds who give generously. But without you and without your support, we won't be able to do as much as we would like to. So any donation that you can give, again, whether it's $10 a month, $100 a month, $1,000 a month, whatever level you can commit to, you can give it to our operations, you can give it to our endowment, you could give it to the Professional Development Fund. Text give to 71441. I want to thank Dustin from the Center for Global Muslim Life for producing this entire show. If you are inspired by this event, the platform, check it out, VFairs. We wanted to support as many Muslim businesses as possible in producing this show. And even the awards are done by plaques by Azra, and each of those award winners will be receiving a nice plaque for their award. So there's nothing more left to say. Just enjoy your day. Keep American Muslim Community Foundation in your prayers and in your dua, and make a contribution. Open up a donor advised fund, start a giving circle. Your nonprofit can host their endowment with us, and together we can do so much more. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum.